This year we are going to be using a sketchbook rubric, but you will be creating your layout for each project in both the sketchbook and PowerPoint. We'll be using a PowerPoint to turn it in. So this rubric that you see here, I will have posted through Schoology so that you can have a much better idea of where all of your points come from. But basically, the first two sections will consist of about 20 points, and the bulk of it comes from the last two sections. So the first section includes a title. The title of the project we just completed is Continuous Contour Line Portrait. It needs to have a start and end date, as well as your name in there. And what I'm showing you here is that in your sketchbook, we want it to be laid out over 2 pages so that you are looking at all of the design together in the one page. So the elements again that you need for the heading include your name, the title, a start date, an end date, and that you have laid it out over 2 pages. When you get finished, your entire layout will have this kind of a feel to it. And we're going to walk through looking at each one of these sections as it pertains to the project that we just finished. To begin with, we are going to look at the requirements. So these requirements were the things for the continuous line portrait that you needed to do. So in your sketchbook, you would be writing down these things, and these are the things that me as the teacher would have told you that you needed to have in the project. So for this project, it included continuous contour line, to work from a photo that you took or that was taken by a family member or friend of you, to have a weighted line, to use the watercolor techniques, to be able to control the watercolor, and also to have geometric and organic shapes. Now we also want to add the second section, which was brainstorming. Now in your future layouts, this will be something that you do prior to completing and working on the project. And this would just be a variety of different ideas that you would have for creating the project. So on this one, this might have been when you were thinking about who you were going to draw and what kind of colors that you planned on using. And the third section of this part 2 would include the strategies. So what you're looking for as far as strategies is what is your plan for making the project. So your strategies are going to look a little bit different than the ones that I've written here. So in future ones, you are planning your project out. In this particular one, we're looking back on what we did. So the plan for the project, one of those plans, I plan to use the Sharpie to make heavy lines. I also plan to use wet on wet, the alcohol, and the paper blotting techniques. You probably use different techniques. You would want to write down what your plan was. I also had planned to use warm colors for the person and cool colors for the background. You may have chosen to just do random colors throughout the entire project. So remember, we are working with and we're talking about the project now, but we're also thinking about what is this going to look like in future projects. So in future projects, these 3 sections, from the requirements to the brainstorming to the strategies, are all our pre-planning. What are the things that I expect you to be able to accomplish in the project? What ideas in brainstormings do you think you want to do? And then strategies, what is your plan for actually creating this project? Now the third section are the thumbnail sketches, and you will have a total of 5 thumbnails that you put into your layout. These 5 thumbnails count as 10 points each. So the first 3 thumbnails are going to be in the future a sketch that you would do with color of your project idea. So you would sketch it out. You would do at least 25% of your sketch where you planned out and experimented with the colors, and and then you would go on and do a second one. So the first 3 of the 5 are actually you doing some sketches, trying to figure out what you think would look best. As we are doing this kind of in reverse this time, what you're going to use for thumbnail number 1 for the project we just completed is going to be a photo of the 10 continuous line objects. And you should already have a photo of that you submitted to me earlier. For thumbnail sketch number 2, you are going to use a photo of the continuous line face practice that we did. And that will take the place of actually having done the sketches for this particular project. For layouts numbers 3, 4, and 5, when we do layout number 3, again, the third thumbnail for your thumbnail sketches, it would be a sketch with 25% of it colored in for the project idea. For this particular project that we are kind of working backwards on, this is going to be a photograph of your watercolor techniques and the practice you did controlling the watercolor. For thumbnail number 4, in the future and for this project, thumbnail number 4 is an in-progress photo. So in future projects, you would stop at some point when you were about halfway through, take a picture of what you had done so far. For this particular project, I had you take a photo of the continuous line face that you had drawn on the watercolor paper and then used the Sharpie to add the weight to the line. You were essentially halfway through when you did that. So that will take the place of your in-progress photo. For thumbnail number 5 is simply a photo of your final artwork. Regardless of whether it is a future project or the present project, thumbnail number 5 is a photo of your final artwork, and you should have one of those photos already. So in preparation for completing our sketchbook layout for the assignment we just finished, in this case you are using 5 photos that you have already taken for the thumbnail sketches. As we work in the future, we will be making this layout as we go, and you will do the first 3 thumbnail sketches at the beginning before you actually start on the project itself. Just like the 5 thumbnail photos and sketches being worth 10 points apiece, these last 3 parts are also worth 10 points. You're going to write a statement about the element of art and the principle of design, and in these statements I want you to explain and describe how you used it in your artwork, where it is, what it looks like. Imagine you are writing this for somebody who is blind. They have no idea. You're going to have to be very descriptive in order for them to try and create a picture in their mind of what this element and principle is. And for the reflection, I'm looking for you to tell me something thoughtful and meaningful about the finished project. Something you liked, something you would change, something you would do differently, something you learned, anything. Just a couple of sentences reflecting on your finished work about your opinion and what you did.